The air was thick with the scent of apple blossoms and damp earth when I first saw Ida gleaming. Ugly metal gate slicing through my orchard like a scar. My orchard. 5 acres of rolling Virginia hills. Where my grandfather's hands once coaxed life from the soil. Where I'd spent childhood summers chasing fireflies under the gnarled branches of century-old trees. That gate, with its smug padlock and private property sign, wasn't just an eyesore. It was a declaration of war. Karen Whitmore, the HOA president with a perm as tight as her smile, had built it. Without permission. Without a word. She'd claimed half my land as her own. And I wasn't about to let her rewrite my family's story. I stood there, boots sinking into the mud, my breath fogging in the crisp morning air. The gate's chain rattled faintly in the breeze, mocking me. My fingers curled into fists, nails biting into my palms. This wasn't just about land. It was about legacy, about the sweat and love poured into every root beneath my feet. Karen didn't know who she was messing with. I'm Ellie Harper, single mom, high school biology teacher, and nobody's doormat. I'd fought bigger battles than this cancer at 32. A divorce that left me with nothing but my daughter and this orchard. I wasn't backing down. I stormed back to my truck, the engine roaring to life as I sped down the gravel road to Karen's McMansion. The neighborhood was a cookie-cutter nightmare. All manicured lawns and identical mailboxes. But Karen's house stood out gaudy columns. A fountain that gurgled like it was choking. I banged on her door, heart pounding in my ears. She answered in a pastel tracksuit, her eyes narrowing like a hawk spotting prey. Ellie, what's this about? She asked, her voice syrupy with fake concern. Your gate. I snapped, pointing toward the orchard. You built it on my land. Take it down. Her laugh was sharp, like glass shattering. Your land. Oh, honey. Check the HOA bylaws. That strips communal property. I'm just securing it for the neighborhood. She leaned closer, her perfume stinging my nose. You should thank me. I felt my blood boil, but I held it together. Show me the deed, I said, voice low. She didn't. Just slammed the door in my face. That night, I sat at my kitchen table, papers strewn everywhere. Me grandfather's will, the property survey, old photos of him planting the first trees. My daughter, Mia, peeked over my shoulder, her 12-year-old eyes wide. Are we going to lose the orchard? Mom, she whispered. I hugged her tight, her hair smelling like strawberry shampoo. Not if I can help it, I said, but my voice cracked. I wasn't sure. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Tom Brennan was a grizzled guy, the kind who smoked cigars and looked like he'd seen every dirty trick in the book. HOA disputes are nasty, he said, leaning back in his creaky office chair. But if your survey's legit, we've got a case. He slid a yellowed map across his desk, my orchard outlined in faded ink. The boundary was clear. Karen's gate was a good 50 feet past her property line. My heart leapt, but Tom's eyes were grim. She's got money and pull. This won't be easy. Days blurred into weeks. I dug through county records, my fingers smudged with dust from ancient ledgers. Karen, meanwhile, was rallying the HOA like a general. At the next meeting, she stood at the podium, her voice dripping with crocodile tears. Ellie's trying to hoard land that belongs to all of us, she said, clutching her pearls. The room murmured, eyes darting to me. I stood, knees shaking, and held up the survey. This is my family's land, I said. My grandfather planted those trees. Karen's gate is illegal. The room went silent, but Karen just smirked. We'll see about that, she said. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. One evening, as I walked the orchard, the air heavy with the hum of crickets, I found a kid maybe 16, all lanky limbs and nervous energy spray painting the gate. Red paint dripped like blood across the metal. Hey, I shouted, and he bolted, dropping his can. I grabbed it, the chemical stink burning my nose. The next day, I found out his name, Dylan, Karen's nephew. She'd sent him to vandalize my property, probably to make me look like the bad guy. It was a low blow, even for her, but it lit a fire in me. I wasn't just fighting for land anymore. I was fighting for what was right. I confronted her at the community center, where she was handing out flyers for her neighborhood beautification campaign. The irony made my skin crawl. "Your nephew's a real artist," I said, tossing the spray can at her feet. It clattered on the tile, drawing gasps from the crowd. Karen's face went white, then red. "You can't prove anything," she hissed. But I saw the fear in her eyes. For the first time, she wasn't in control. The court date loomed like a storm cloud. I barely slept, my dreams haunted by the sound of chainsaws tearing through my trees. Mia tried to cheer me up, baking lopsided cookies and leaving notes on my fridge. "You got this, Mom." But the weight of it all pressed on my chest, heavy as the August heat. Tom prepped me relentlessly, his voice gruff but kind. "Stick to the facts," he said. "Let Karen dig her own grave." The courtroom was a sterile box, all polished wood and flickering fluorescent lights. Karen sat across from me, her lawyer a slick guy in a suit that probably cost more than my truck. She wore a navy blazer, her hair perfect, but her fingers tapped nervously on the table. The judge, a woman with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense voice, called me first. I walked to the stand, my boots echoing on the floor. My throat was dry, but I told my story about my grandfather, the orchard, the gate. I held up the survey, my hands trembling. "This land is mine," I said. "It's all I have left of him." Karen's lawyer tried to tear me apart, questioning my memory, my paperwork, even my character. "Isn't it true you've neglected the orchard?" he asked, smirking. I wanted to scream, but I took a breath, the air tasting like stale coffee. "I've been raising a kid and fighting cancer," I said. "But that land's in my blood. I'd never let it go." The room was quiet, the judge's pen scratching the only sound. Then came Karen's turn. She played the victim, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. "I only wanted to protect our community," she said. But Tom was ready. He presented the survey, the county records, even a photo of Dylan's paint can. Karen's lawyer objected, but the judge waved him off. Then Tom called a surprise witness, a retired surveyor named Mr. Callahan, who'd worked the county lines 30 years ago. His voice was gravelly, his hands shaky, but his memory was sharp. "That orchard's been Harper land since 1920, he said. "No question." Karen's face crumpled, and I felt a surge of hope, sharp and bright. The judge took a week to decide. I spent it in the orchard, pruning branches. The snip of my shears a small act of defiance. Mia helped, her laughter cutting through the tension. One evening, we sat under the oldest apple tree, its bark rough against my back. "What if we lose?" she asked, her voice small. I looked at her, her eyes reflecting the sunset. "We won't," I said, and for the first time, I believed it. The verdict came on a rainy morning, the courtroom packed with neighbors. The judge's voice was steady, each word a hammer strike. "The court finds in favor of MS. Ellie Harper. The gate is to be removed. And MS. Whitmore is ordered to pay damages for trespass and vandalism." A cheer went up, but Karen just sat there, her face a mask of shock. I exhaled, a sob catching in my throat. It was over. Outside, the rain had stopped, the air fresh with the smell of wet grass. Mia hugged me, her arms tight. "We did it, Mom," she whispered. I nodded, tears blurring my vision. The orchard was safe, but it was more than that. It was justice, hard-won and bittersweet. Karen had tried to take what wasn't hers, to bend the world to her will. But the truth doesn't bend. Not for her, not for anyone. That night, I walked the orchard alone, the moon casting silver over the trees. The gate was gone, the ground scarred but healing. I pressed my hand to the soil, feeling its pulse, its promise. This land was my grandfather's dream, my daughter's future. And no one, not Karen, not anyone could take that away. Somewhere, I swear I heard my grandfather's laugh, carried on the wind, saying, "That's my girl."